All right, everybody, welcome back to the channel. I am an avid herpetologist, and no, the title is not clickbait. I am so excited to say I have finally done it. I have walked away from a store championship with a first place finish using black base Machinedramon. So you know I had to make a deck profile video sharing with you guys the build that has finally brought me that success. Now, this is going to be a very similar list to the one that I got second place with back in, I believe, September. However, there's plenty of new additions thanks to the new BT10 format, as well as lots of tech choices that I've actually mentioned in previous videos that actually ended up seeing a bit of play, and I was a bit vindicated on during the event, as a lot of them actually did see use and did the purposes they were intended to do. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the deck list. So to begin with, the egg setup is actually a little bit different than it was for my last second place deck list. So we are starting off with 4 copies of Pagumon. Now, unfortunately, this is still the best generic black egg that exists for Machinedramon. Hotmon is another alternative, and I have gone back and forth with running the 5th egg, but on my current list, I'm only running these 4. Reason being, we're only actually running 7 Digimon that are not black in some way, so this card should, in theory, be hitting a lot more often, especially with EX3 right around the corner. This card should actually be able to add cards to our hand much more consistently. And I've found that having that additional source of card advantage, shockingly, you know, is quite valuable, especially in a deck like Machinedramon, where drawing into your deck deeper is going to be super valuable. So our eggs, we are currently going to be running 4 Pagumon. Now, on to our rookies. We are running some new stuff in our rookie slots. However, to begin with, the first 4 of shouldn't surprise anyone, and that is 4 copies of EX1 Hagurumon. Now, this Hagurumon is still one of the best cards that Machinedramon has to offer, being able to come into play for 3 memory, discard any machine or cyborg, and draw 2. So this is one of your best startup cards. Being a machine, it's also going to have, of course, synergies with all of our other machine and cyborg synergies, as I've just kind of come to collectively refer to them on this channel. I've talked about them quite a bit, so I'm not going to harp on them too terribly much in this video. That being said, the next rookie we are running is 4 copies of the new starter deck, Chikurimon. Now, this card, as I've again mentioned, and I'm sure many of you are already aware, is vitally necessary in this new format. The ability to floodgate both players and make sure that they cannot reduce play costs is incredibly powerful in a meta that is going to be dominated by Digicross mechanics, Death Xmon, and last night, actually, Beelstarmon. One of the matchups I played last night was actually against Beelstar, which is a deck I have actually never been able to beat before, and wound up taking a 2-0 in that particular matchup, thanks in no small part to Chikurimon. The inability to play out Death Xmon saved me quite a bit. So, absolutely worth running at 4 copies, I think, and even in the main board, Chikurimon is absolutely stellar. If you're running red, play Solarmon, purple, play Psychmon. They are just absolutely irreplaceable right now. And our last 2 rookies, we are still playing 10. That seems to be a number that's been working really consistently. We are still playing 2 copies of the BT2 Hagurumon, just a 2-drop, 3000 DP vanilla. The on-play for only 2 does come up. It's great for choking. It's still a machine body, and it's just a really easy way to round out your rookie set. Now, for our champions, our level 4s, we are going to be playing 4 copies of EX1 Guardromon. EX1 Guardromon is still, again, one of the best cards that especially black-based Machinedramon has to offer. If you can go into a Guardromon on turn 1 with a Cyborg to Digivolve into on turn 2, you are already off to a very powerful start to your game. Having a blocker that you can play for 5, of course, super helpful, but it's that inheritable that is your inherent source of card advantage, where when attacking, you can trash a Digimon with Machine or Cyborg and its traits in your hand to draw 2. This lets you go positive in card advantage, which, when coupled with Pagumon, lets you keep your card advantage going and not run out of gas. So super, super important. Definitely one of the best cards in the deck. Couple that with Digivolving into a level 5 on Digivolve Cyborg from EX1. And ultimately what you'll have in that turn, is if you can also declare an attack, is drawing 1 for Digivolution. Then you get to check your top 3 for a level 6 machine, potentially adding that to hand, so that's digging another 3 cards deep. Then you can attack, discard a card, and draw 2 more. looking at another 2 cards. So potentially seeing 6 cards just off of that one interaction with an attack. So super, super powerful. If you're playing black base, you really need to be running 4 copies of this. Now, the next champion is a new one for the deck, one that I said I was going to try out, and boy, did I. And that is going to be 3 copies of Machmon. Now, Machmon has flown under my radar for a very long time, but I am very glad that I wound up making use of this in the build. It performed very, very well. So it's 4 to play, which is actually pretty low, 5,000 DP, 2 to Digivolve, and has Decoy for black. So the primary reason I wanted, well, I should say, there's a couple of reasons I wanted to run this card. It has a lot of really solid synergies with what this archetype wants to do. First of all, it is a cyborg, so it again has those synergies with your Hagurumon, your Guardromon inheritable, all of those nice little interactions. But Decoy means, for those of you not familiar, because it is worded a little weird on the card. So Decoy is anytime another one of your black Digimon would be deleted, you can instead delete this Digimon. So the primary way that this is going to serve value is protecting Chikurimon. That's actually one of the reasons I won the Beelstar matchup, is plopping down a Chikurimon, slapping down a Machmon right next to it, which gives 2 layers of protection they have to burn through if they want to ever start actually making their larger plays. This combination actually won me both of the games in that matchup. So Machmon, when it does come up, it is super, super relevant. Even when you don't need the decoy, it's only 2 to Digivolve, and it's only 4 to play, so it's not going to hurt our consistency. I saw a lot of success using this card. If you are interested in playing a black base, especially with synergies around Kazu, I highly recommend trying out some number of copies. And then we are playing 2 other champion level Digimon in the form of Grumblemon. Grumblemon is also another relatively new addition, but I've actually opted for a full black Tamer base just so I can make use of this card. Having a hybrid to swing for game is going to help you close things out much more consistently in a deck that is looking to make Mega Zoo kind of plays with dropping Machinedramon. So being able to just pay 2 memory and swing for game with Grumblemon, it did come up. It has come up a majority of the games, pretty much all the games that I have seen Grumblemon, it has performed extremely well. 2 copies seems just about right. I wouldn't want less. I don't necessarily want more. I think 2 is just right. All right, now we're going to move up into the important part, the Cyborg lineup. It is a little bit different than the deck list that I posted and the deck list that I had that second place finish in. To begin with, we're going to go over, of course, our EX1 Cyborgs, and that's going to be 2 copies of MetalTyrannomon, 2 copies of Andromon, and a single copy of MetalMamemon. All of these share the when Digivolving effect to reveal the top 3 cards of your deck, add a level 6 Digimon card with Machine in its traits to your hand, and then trash the rest. So you're digging 3 cards deep using these cards. Now each one, of course, has their inheritables. MetalTyrannomon gives Reboot, Andromon gives Blocker, and MetalMamemon, on attacking, lets you delete an opponent's Digimon play cost 5 or less. Now, a lot of people are pretty low on MetalMamemon. I actually think it's really helpful at a 1-of in this list. There's a surprising number of decks that do stay fairly low to the ground in this format. Crossheart, Justmon. Honestly, a lot of different decks are going to be playing throwaway rookies and things, and even champions that you'll be able to pop with a quick MetalMamemon. So being able to blitz in Machinedramon and also clear simultaneously multiple bodies off the board is super, super helpful. I do highly recommend, again, playing at least a single copy if you are interested, specifically in black base. I'll probably play it even if I do switch over to red base at some point. Again, I do just think that ability to have removal on one of the inheritables is very, very helpful. Next, we have a single copy of Cyberdramon. I'm a little lower on this card than I used to be, but I am still absolutely going to be playing a single copy as long as I'm playing a black Tamer suit. The when Digivolving effect doesn't matter. It cannot attack players unless I control the Tamer, but it is 3 to Digivolve and 10,000 DP, making it the most aggressive of our level 5 cyborgs. Its when attacking inheritable says once per turn, if you have 2 or more black Tamers in play, Digivolve 1 on one of your opponent's Digimon. I am still convinced that Digivolve is one of the strongest mechanics in the game, so having a copy of that can absolutely catch your opponent by surprise. We also have a single copy of the starter deck Black Megadramon with a generic blocker inheritable. We are playing 1 Megadramon and 2 Andromon, so we can split our unique names. But honestly, both of their inheritables are pretty much the same in this list just because we are not playing any level 6 or highers that are not already machines. So these both basically have just generic blocker. Although it is worth mentioning that if Megadramon is in your stack and your opponent de-digivolves your Machinedramon or your Chaosdramon, you do maintain blocker thanks to this Megadramon. So that is an interaction worth mentioning. Moving on to our black and red cyborgs, we have 2 copies of BT9 Megadramon. This Megadramon has a when digivolving effect, delete one of your opponent's Digimon or Tamers, play cost 3 or less. Its inheritable is the exact same effect, but on a when attacking ability. So this is going to be an incredibly important inheritable to have in this current format, as not only do we still have X antibodies playing Cool Boy running around, but of course, Crossheart is going to be one of the decks to beat. Being able to pop Taiki consistently is going to be huge, absolutely massive. So just make sure that you are being very aware of this card. If you are playing Machinedramon, no matter what color base you are playing, you are going to want at least 2 copies of this format, in my personal opinion. Moving on, we also have a single copy of the new starter deck, Volcanomon. This is an 8 to play, 9000 DP, 4 to digivolve blocker. So while in play, this actually does have the blocker ability. Also has an inheritable that is a generic security attack +1. So again, if you are going to be building stacks, you have 2 lines of thought here. If your opponent de-digivolves your board, and you want that extra security attack, putting him lower in the stack is going to be helpful. If your opponent de-digivolves and you need to keep blocker and do not have Megadramon, then leaving him at the top so you can de-digivolve into a 9k blocker is also something to consider. So super, super strong. This card is absolutely worth playing. Now we're currently only playing a single copy of BT8 MetalGreymon. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to keep it here though, to be completely honest. There were a lot of games where I wanted to see this card more often. Same goes for MetalTyrannomon, though I think 2 is still probably right for that. But this is still just as broken as it's always been. 8 to play, 8000 DP, 4 to digivolve. When digivolving, de-digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, and then you can delete something with 3000 DP or less. While this Digimon has Dragon Keon or Machine in its traits as that inheritable, it can attack unsuspended Digimon, helpful for controlling the board and picking off problematic creatures. So again, you can destroy things while hopefully being able to get back into a reboot blocker, which helps you lock down the field. So MetalGreymon is always going to have a slot in this deck, but the question is how many. I was running only 1 for this current tournament, but even taking first, I will absolutely say that I wish I had probably run a second copy. So I may be adjusting this list a little bit in the future, but don't be too surprised or don't feel betrayed by that, as this list is going to be evolving a lot, especially in the next couple of weeks when EX3 Chaosdramon enters the field. Next up, we're going to be playing a single copy of BT1 Secret Rare MetalGreymon for that plus 3000 DP inheritable. It does have security attack +2 and an on-attacking lose 5 memory effect if it ever happens to be in play. In the Beelstar game, there was actually a time where I hard played this card from my hand just because they passed me 7 memory, and I honestly didn't have any other plays at the time that I thought were more optimal, so I just hard played this. And against Beelstar, since they couldn't really choke me, since Chikurimon was in play, if they did pass me a whole bunch more memory, that then basically threatened them to swing in with 3 security checks on a 9k body that wouldn't pass the turn. So it did come up, but mostly that's just there for that 3k inheritable. We are also playing a single copy of Megadramon that also has the inheritable to gain 2000 DP, so relevant there. These 2 combined are going to be, of course, plus 5000 total if you manage to see both. DP and gains are going to be have proven to be super relevant this format, so definitely good to have both of those, I think. We are also playing a single copy of EX1 MetalGreymon with a still relevant when attacking effect on the field. 7 to play, 7000 DP, 3 to digivolve. When attacking, when this Digimon attacks a player, delete one of your opponent's Digimon 4000 DP or less. Helpful for clearing out memory blockers and all things like that. And of course, the piercing inheritable is super nice to have as well. Now, the last cyborg we are going to be playing is a single copy of EX1 Megadramon as well. Again, with an on-play effect to delete up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon 3000 DP or less, so again, helpful for clearing out those memory blockers and other floodgates. With an inheritable where if this Digimon is a level 6 machine or has machine in its traits, it gains security attack +1. So again, we have 2 different security attacks that'll help us shred through our opponent's security very quickly. And yes, there were games yesterday where I blitzed in Machinedramon, checked 3 security, and was able to swing for game after that. There are going to be games, especially in this format, where big memory swings are going to happen. All right, moving on to our Megas. Shocking nobody, the namesake of the deck. Of course, we are still playing 4 copies of EX1 Machinedramon. Guys, this deck has basically become synonymous with my entire Digimon career. This is the deck that I fell in love with. It is definitely the one that I've built my reputation on as a Digimon player. It is an incredibly, incredibly fun card to play. For those of you unfamiliar, this is 12 to play, 11,000 DP, 3 to Digivolve. Yes, I have Digivolved for 3 before just to get an inheritable. That does happen, so keep in mind that is always an option, but 9 times out of 10, you are going to want to play this card from your hand. Yes, it does cost 12, which means you must have 2 memory. However, on play, you may place up to 5 red and or black cards with Cyborg in their traits, and different card numbers from your hand or trash in this Digimon's Digivolution cards to gain 1 memory for each card placed. You might notice we have lots of Cyborgs that share a name. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 versions of Megadramon. We have 3 versions of MetalGreymon, but each of these individual unique cards does count as its own card number, so you can place multiple Megadramons as long as they have different card numbers. Once you do that, of course, you gain that 1 memory, so you're ideally going to be gaining back 5, making him only 7 to play. Now, for that 7 cost, you get one of the coolest boss monsters in all of Digimon. During all turns, this Digimon's DP cannot be reduced, and if this Digimon would be deleted, you may trash 2 level 5 Digimon cards in this Digivolution sources to prevent this Digimon from being deleted. This is such a cool card. Absolutely phenomenal. And like I said, you basically, the whole idea of the deck is you want to dig through your deck, put lots of these unique cyborgs underneath him, and just make an incredibly scary Megazord-esque Digimon that your opponent is going to have to bend over backwards and jump through hoops to actually get off the field. It's the main win condition of the deck. It is an incredible control tool, and I will absolutely be playing this deck all the way up through BT12 and our most current spoilers. I see no reason to stop as we keep getting more support. Alright, we are also going to be playing another level 6. That is, of course, still going to be Chaosdramon from BT7. Now, this Chaosdramon is soon to be replaced by EX3 Chaosdramon. I actually do think there's some merit to still keeping at least 1 or 2 copies of this around, at least in the sideboard, though. There's going to be games where your opponent is going very wide on the board, and being able to destroy things that cost 6 or have 6,000 DP or less is going to stay relevant. The new Chaosdramon is excellent for dealing with tall stacks, while Chaosdramon from BT7 is going to be better at dealing with board states. So just something to keep in mind. Even though the new Chaosdramon, I think, by most measures is a better card, this card is still going to have its niche uses, so keep your eyes out. Don't necessarily throw all your copies into your bulk bin just yet. I do think this card is still going to maintain at least some level of relevance in EX3. Moving on, we also are going to be playing our Tamers. We have 2 copies of Izzy Izumi. This is the BT4 Izzy, where it's 4 to play, set your memory to 3, it is a memory tamer, and on play, reveal the top 3 cards of your deck. If all of the revealed cards are black, gain a memory. So it's the only memory setter currently that is potentially only 3 memory to play. Now this card does get a lot better in EX3 just because we are getting Chaosdramon, which is also part black. Currently there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards in the entirety of the deck that are not black, so more often than not you are going to be hitting it. If this card is checked in security, it does still gain you that memory, so you can potentially pass the turn if your opponent is on 0. So definitely a nice card. It has absolutely proven its value, and it is definitely a good card to be playing if you want Grumblemon, since most of its utility is just on play. You don't really suspend it for anything, so it's always there and ready to go into a hybrid if need be. We are, of course, also still playing 4 full copies of Kazu Shioda. This is one of my favorite cards in the deck. It is a super powerful tamer when you build around it. 3 to play, start of your main phase. If you have a Digimon with Cyborg or Machine in its traits, gain 1 memory. So while Izzy is going to be setting your memory to 3, Kazu is going to be helping you climb past that. This is actually one of the primary reasons we are not playing copies of Ultimate Connection in this deck, because Kazu is going to help us fix our memory already. As long as we have any Cyborg or Machine in our raising area, a la our rookies, champions, whatever the case may be, he will gain us that memory. If we have Machinedramon, they have to fully remove him or we'll still gain that memory. So Kazu is super, super powerful in that regard, but also has an all-turns effect where anytime any of your Cyborg or Machines become suspended, whether that be attack, block, whatever, you can then suspend this tamer to draw 1 card and trash a card in your hand. So this is also a very potent digging tool that again will help you see lots of cards very quickly, as well as filter out and hopefully filter in your stack building. So if you're trying to get from one level to the next and you're having a hard time finding a specific level, this will potentially help you get there. The last 3 cards in the deck are going to be 3 copies of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon. This is the card that is keeping Machinedramon relevant right now. It is 0 to play. You can trash any card with Sideboard or Machine in its traits to have all of your level 6 Digimon with Machine in their traits gain Rush. And on play, if this Digimon has a Digivolution card, Blitz. Now, having both of those is of course important. You can't attack with Blitz unless you do not have Summoning Sickness, so giving Rush is valuable. Basically, all of that text is summed up by saying that EX1 Machinedramon, when you play it, can Blitz. Basically attack immediately even when you pass the turn. Obviously, that is going to be incredibly powerful, especially when you have all of these scary inheritables, and we are going to be playing lots of additional security attacks, lots of on-attack effects, so even better than it's been before. This card is really, really powerful. Coming EX3, we are finally getting a second Blitz target for this. So, for those of you who don't know, the EX3 Chaosdramon that's going to be coming out has not only a when digivolving effect to tuck 3 sources, but it also has an on play to tuck 3 sources. So that basically means that even though this Chaosdramon cannot be blitzed in, the new one will be able to be blitzed in. Now, it does not gain you memory back, so you will have to pass 12 memory, but if you are looking for an extra card to end the game with, that is going to be where you're at. Now, I do think I want to add a 4th copy of this to this deck. There are just so many matchups where you really want to need to be seeing this in your hand if you want to actually do something. So again, some of these ratios may be tweaked, but this is the list that I was successfully able to take first place with at a local store championship. I'm very excited to have an invitation to nationals. I'm going to do my best to actually attend. I gotta actually figure out ways to pay for that in the next couple of months, but I do want to say for the record that I am going to make an honest effort to go. I am just so excited and so honored and blessed to even have the invitation. And by that point, it's going to be BT11 format, so we are going to have the updates to Machinedramon by that point. For those of you curious, our shop does play with sideboards, so if you are interested in seeing the sideboard that I was personally running, we are actually going with a 4th copy of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon. Because again, there are going to be matchups where this card is super relevant. It also has a security effect that you want to see in certain matchups as well. For those of you, I've neglected to mention it in my 2nd place video, and I'm not going to forget this time. The security effect of Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon let you trash any Digimon with Cyborg or Machine in its traits in your hand to delete one of your opponent's Digimon with an equal or lower play cost. So as long as you are holding up your Mega level machines, if you check this, you are able to destroy anything that is play cost 12 or less. So it's very similar to a Gaia Force that has an incredible utility in your hand as well. The next 2 copies that we're going to be playing are 2 copies of, please forgive me, Death Xmon. I hate this card with a burning passion. I'm so tired of seeing it, but unfortunately, until it gets banned, we do have to play around it. Now, we are able to digivolve onto our own Chikurimon, so we can turn them off when we want to, but against decks like, again, Justmon and Crossheart, this card is vitally important. You really do need it to see it against certain matchups, sad to say. But our last 2 cards we're playing in the sideboard are 2 copies of BT8 Black Guardromon. This is more of a spice pick on my part. We are in a very Tamer heavy format right now, so having a Digimon that can digivolve and destroy not only 2 3-cost Tamers, but also potentially knocking out memory setters, I thought was super interesting. I have this in here for a lot of the more control-y kind of matchups, but yeah. That's going to do it, guys. Thank you again so much for tuning in to another video. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing this BT10 Black Machinedramon deck list. I'm still having just the most fun playing this deck in all forms. I hope you guys who are out there, my Machinedramon stands, are having a good time in BT10 as well. Leave a comment down below if you guys did enjoy this video or have any questions about card choices. If you're liking the content, feel free to like and subscribe. I hope with that, I am an avid herpetologist. Thank you all so much again for joining me, and I will see you all next time.